Wood in the gallery, Gary.
Yeah. These objects, this is this process of appropriation. And I remember when I first started making sculpture, I had this really great teacher at the school called San Antonio College. It was in Texas, in San Antonio, obviously. And his name was Mark Pritchett. And I believe he's still there. I have to go visit him before it's too late to visit. And he was really great because, he really got us thinking about our processes. And early on, I had kind of, before taking painting or everything, I took sculpture. And really, I always felt that I was a sculptor before I was a painter because I admired painters because, that ability to draw and everything is just, it's a really powerful tool. And it's like the science of all art. I believe that firmly. Although sculpture, I believe, is this kind of manifestation of creation that is so much closer to what you think of as the divine, right? I mean, in Genesis, it didn't say, and on the third day, God took out his pen and paper and started drawing and planning how to make Adam and Eve. It simply says that clay was taken from the earth and molded into these human figures, these likenesses of God, whether it be a he or a she. And so I kind of feel that way about sculpture, that, whether it be a human figure or something else, you're closer to this idea of the divine creation. And I feel that way when I make sculpture, that what I'm doing is I'm kind of mimicking that or engaging in that same process of creation, which is kind of this kind of handshake with the divine, And I mean, nobody taught me how to make sculpture. Nobody taught me how to paint. Even though I went to a good art school, sadly I didn't know about ateliers, so I wasn't able to study under a master. So I ended up learning how to paint on my own. I remember my teacher when I went to the San Francisco Art Institute, which I loved that school. I remember my teacher Tom Ackley laughing at me when I was asking him about, who's going to show, where's the class that shows you how to paint in the master style? And he's like, you're already a great artist, man. That's why you're here, that's how you got into this school. And I was like, but nobody ever showed me how to these, magic tricks that all the masters used. And I think he said, go home and smoke a big fat joint and just start drawing, which I probably took some of that advice. But more importantly, what I did is I just used my own skill, I literally just said, okay, well, I'll just do what comes natural. And went to the museums and looked at masterworks and figured it out on my own. And I did a similar thing when I looked at sculpture. The thing about it is that it's this closer relationship to God, right? You're taking your hands and you're molding these figures, and later on you breathe life into them. You know, like after I finish this, I'm gonna put either paint a heart here, maybe, or put some anatomical little heart here, I think. And then I'll do chest compressions, and I'll breathe life into the nostrils, breathe air, and it will come again, it will come alive. And I wouldn't call it a Frankenstein because it's too beautiful to be a Frankenstein. This is going to be the what I call the miracle doll, my own invention. And hopefully the patron who takes this sculpture home will benefit from its magic powers that I, as the artist, will imbue into it. That as an artist, I have that ability to breathe life into my sculptures and make them live. It's an interesting process, and it's also just an interesting way to think about what you're doing as an artist, you know, what you're giving to the world. And I've always loved that about making sculptures, that it's this physical thing that exists. It's not an illusion, you know. Drawing and painting is the illusion. It's that ability to create, to take oil and pigment and create believable light where people actually are fooled by what they're looking at. But sculpture, there's no trickery in it. You know, it's tangible. It's right there. They can feel it. They can touch it. They can hold it. They can walk around it. And in that sense, it exists in the real world. Oh, so let's see. And it mimics the divine. And as an artist, that's one of the things that I relish about creating things, is that we're given this divine power to bring things into the world.